Garage is still a mess. There's freaking parts everywhere. I took these off because I had to borrow some lug nuts to take the Jeep out. I love how fat these damn tires are. It's awesome. Got some keggers. Got our single plane for whenever we get to the aluminum heads with the LA pattern. We're going to end up modifying the dual plane here. I'm getting rid of this divider wall. And really just clean everything up. So the heads are pretty carboned up. I already cleaned up the piston, so I can't show you that. I already did that. Really not that bad. Luckily these are Jegs heads with seat inserts so they didn't crack from all the heat. I hope. They haven't cracked between the seats where it's usually obvious on Magnums. So this one's not too gooey, but it's gooey enough. I'm going to pull the plugs out, and I've got some oven cleaner. This one's a little gooier. I got it right there. Boop. So if you've never used oven cleaner to clean things, it works freaking awesome. Even on aluminum, it works awesome, but you have to be careful. It's like Alumabrite. It will clean it up a little bit, and then after it gets to the top layer, it just starts corroding the hell out of it. It'll start turning aluminum black and doing bad things. But cast iron, you're safe. So I'm going to set you up. I'm going to take the aluminum rocker arms off because we got to take them off anyway. I don't want to try putting the head back on with all the push rods there and holding your mouth right. That would be probably damn near impossible. So I'm going to set you on a stand. We're going to get these rocker arms off in a box somewhere of some sort. And then we're going to see what this oven cleaner does. And a case of brake clean. I didn't get the regular stuff. This is for barbecue, smoker, and grill grates. So I'm hoping it does a little better than the regular oven cleaner. But, well, I guess it's not oven cleaner. It's grill cleaner. Anyway, we're going to give this a whirl. Got all the rocker arms off and in that box. Pulled the spark plugs out. I'm not too worried about the rest of it. I don't think I'm gonna spray the back, so I'm only gonna spray the chambers and maybe in the exhaust a little bit. Maybe in the intake, all except for the one that's epoxied. I don't know what it might do. So far it looks like the epoxy's doing okay. If it looks a little checkered, it's because I used some screen door to try to help spread that load out and grab as much surface as possible. Hopefully we don't cause any damage. The soot in the exhaust really doesn't matter, but while we're here, kind of degrease them while we're at it. "30-second spot clean." The oven cleaner said, I think it was like 3 minutes. So we'll give this a minute and then come back. While it's doing that, I'll show you the intake. Watch the update video. I explained how I want to knock this wall down. The divider, where is that thing? I left some stuff out here in the weather like I shouldn't have, but oh well. Yeah, throttle body's inside. Alright. 2-barrel throttle body to 4-barrel adapter. It's got these divided all except for right here for the idle air control stuff. Alright, so I had a gasket without the center. Look how dirty this is. Even though it's a tiny gap between that and that, it's been sharing. It's been trying to share. Now, in most of the performance books, when you try to run dual plane a little higher, RPM, maybe a little more flow, you knock this wall down. So my plan is to knock that wall down. I'd say I'm probably going to take at least an inch out of it. I could put a carb spacer under it, but I think I'll knock that down first. You can see how nasty it is from sucking in all the stuff in the PCV system. Oh, everything's coated in oil. It's nasty. We're also going to address the ports themselves just a little bit. There's not much to be gained here. This is pretty damn close. But while I'm here, we might as well address it. I wish it was more of a single plane or some other way to line it up better. Because you can see these are crowded over. This is perfectly lined up with this wall. But this is just barely in the way. But we have all this meat here. But if we scoot this over, this will be lined up. It really won't hurt this one. But you can't just get the perfect alignment. So I think I'm going to open it up so the intake manifold has just slightly bigger than the gasket. Just slightly. So if there's a little bit of misalignment, we're still got plenty of opening. The push rod pinch point's right behind that, but it's not going to hurt it being a little bigger. A lot bigger, probably got a problem. Smaller, problem. A little bigger will be fine. That'll help us get it lined up good enough. What else have we got? So this thing will get some work. There's the single plane we're eventually going to go to. But not today. What else have we got to sort out? I've got some new exhaust gaskets to check because these guys leak. And I don't know if they leak because I had a crap gasket or if they leak because of this. Look at the shape, every corner. Not every corner, but I'm curious. I think the port ends further in, and then these are much larger than they need to be, so that really needs cleaned up and welded up, which is what I did with the last set that was on the truck. They were on there when I bought it. I took them off and addressed that and solved the exhaust leak issue. So these I haven't, and I may not today, because if you watch that update video, I'm considering moving the turbos to the back or mid-mount and using the long tubes. So far, these headers look like they're holding up. But let's go check on our grill cleaner on our cylinder heads. Looks like we're going to give them another round. And some more elbow grease. Alright, here we go. This guy is, now that I've got the light in the way, scoot over. This guy is 2 inches deep to the bottom of one of the ribs. Oh, there we go. 2/45, 2 inches. I think we're going to take 1.5 inches out of it. We'll leave 1/2 inch there and then round it off. Looking at where this radius is to that runner, I don't want to mess with it too much, so I think I'm going to go to about right here on both sides and then just kind of round it in. We're not going to worry too much about shape. We're just going to take the sharp edges off and let it rip, and hopefully it stays in the middle. Well, let's go. That's just over 1 inch right there. I'm going to go ahead and take it all the way to 1.5 and leave it a 1/2 inch tall. If anyone has any experience with this, please leave a comment and let me know what you've seen. This is a carbureted manifold we're using with fuel injection, so I don't necessarily think the same things are going to apply, because you can do things that would improve airflow to a manifold that will hurt signal on the carburetor and won't make it atomize fuel properly in the best way possible, which will end up causing drivability issues and probably loss of power at low speed. Or port injection, I don't think those issues really apply to us, but hopefully I'm not making a mistake. If not, I don't really think it's going to matter. But 0.4 more inches. I ended up going to 3/8 tall on the wall right here. I don't really see any adverse effects. I'll knock all these off with a grinder whenever I touch up the ports. But for the most of it, that'll work. Now I've got to clean up my mess so I can get ready to get the grinder and make more mess. Let's go check on the heads. Alright, I've done a little more. Got the heads in and blown off. They are good enough. You can't see much of anything. Get the light out. Problem with having this door open is I've got my light mounted above the door, so when you open the door, you really can't see crap in here. I need more lights. But we're good enough. There's a couple carboned up spots, but we'll be alright. I do think where these edges are messed up, that one and that guy there, I will scribe it out, and we will probably just chamfer it. We'll take that edge off and we'll knock a little compression out of it. People worry about quench, and quench is important. Quench makes power. Kind of stay away from detonation and things, but it's a dish piston. You got a quench pad here, and you've got this amount of area right here that you can have quench. Where the dish is, you're not getting quench there. So right here, above the valves, that matters. This over here, you've only got that one ridge. So right here, where I want to take it, we're not going to lose any quench. All we're going to do is open that chamber up. So no harm, no foul that I see. It's going to lose power naturally aspirated because of loss of compression. I really don't think it's going to matter. And on the other side, by the exhaust, which I'm still on the fence about, I think I'm going to knock this down just a bit. I really need to get more tools so I can pull the valves out of this thing, but I'll probably, that being said, I'm going to take this. I'll leave this alone for now. I said it's not going to be on here forever, and eventually I want to use these heads on something else. I've got the dual plane intake, I've got the Harlan Sharps, I've got a cam, I've got lots of parts to put something else together. After playing with the Jeep, I kind of want something with a frame. I'm either going to get another Dakota and build a buggy or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's side the point. Let's get back to it. So that's out of the way from our oil lines. We've got this. I'm going to get the grinder out. Got a razor blade, the gasket surface off a little better. And then I'll blue it with a really fat Sharpie. And then scribe it, and we'll open her up a bit. We're not going to go crazy porting. We're going to make this match the gasket, go just a hair bigger all the way around, and knock all these edges off. Let's get to it. See, with the door closed, I can see a lot better in here. I do not use roll locks, and while this may not be the perfect method, this is how my father taught me, so that's what I do. And time lapse. I don't have any bluing dye here, but I've been using this really fat Sharpie for a while now, and you just press it and go kind of slow, and it makes a very nice deep mark. I think you can get these in blue. I'm not sure what color you can get these big boys in. It probably help. I think the blue stands out a little more whenever you scribe it than the black for whatever reason. I've heard someone else say that red shows up the best. I've not tried red yet. I'm really not a big fan of porting. I will do it, but I don't care for it. That's why I bought the CNC ported heads. If I could afford trick flows, I would have went with trick flows. And whenever I actually get into that video, you will see. I still think if you have the money and you can wait for them to be available, buy the trick flows. I don't think it's faster than the Dicom with the brush, but works just fine. Nice and quick. Alright, we got one of those fancy tungsten scribe things from the Harbor Freights. Got a factory gasket. And what I found, this edge will line up right with this edge so far. So I like to kind of split the difference on the intake manifold bolts. These ones aren't really as they're not really drilled as good as the factory manifolds. I'm touching this edge and I'm touching this edge, but whenever you put this on a kegger, you can slide it forward and backward and still be within all the bolt holes. That's probably why the other one was a hair off. Alright, hold that. Make sure we line up with the roof. Like I said, I'd rather it be a hair bigger than a hair smaller. I think most books say the opposite, but I don't really think that matters. A big change, sure. I think air'd rather be compressed than expand very quickly, is what Tim has taught me, and I can see that, so I believe that. That, and if we're off a little bit, that will take up for the amount we're off, and we'll be alright. See, we're all marked up. There's not a lot to do. Knock this wall back a little bit. Barely touch really any of this. Address the floor. I need to look at the floor angle on the head. We're really not going to do much with it. But we might as well match it to the gasket while we're here. I think both sides are about the same. Very, very little we can do. But I'm going to get the grinder set up and I'm going to get to it. I did a quick check on the angle of the floor and the floor and the roof of the port, and the floor pretty much matches this, or not the floor, the roof on the cylinder head matches this angle, so that works out pretty good. The floor is damn near square for a little bit, and let's see, it looks like you can't see a damn thing. This is damn near 90 degrees. These ones are happy. These taller ports aren't as happy. I don't think we can do a whole lot about that, but we can try to, like a river, we can dig in a little bit right here and see how much meat we have. Of course, we won't do much there. It's not that thick, and if we bust through, I can't really get to it to weld it except from this side, and if you've ever done that, that really blows, so it's really not a whole lot to be done here. It's actually pretty decent. Alright, let's get to grinding. Alright, we've gone down the rabbit hole now. I'm not just gonna port it a little bit, I'm gonna port it a lot of bit. Curious what it's gonna make NA with the long tubes. I want them on there so I can see what it makes NA with the new mods and probably bigger throttle body. I'll probably go ahead and throw a 4-barrel big boy on it so we're not wondering if that's a restriction. Then I'll look at putting the turbos under it. Or we'll swap back to the front mount setup. But once I started grinding and seeing some things we can do to make a little more power, now I'm curious. Now I wish I had a bigger cam. Maybe. If we made 365, I would say we could. I don't see why 385's not. It's right there. I think what we're doing should get us there. We'll put the intake on the heads to flow test it. It flowed 245 versus the head flows 265. It doesn't matter if it's a perfect intake. If the head flowed 265 and the intake was just perfect, you're still going to have a little bit of loss potentially, especially if it's the same size runner. If it's a giant tapered manifold, you probably won't really have that much loss. But since this has longer runners, you're not going to get the full 265 testing it on a cylinder head like that. But it did go from 265 to 245. So the heads potentially still flow more than this intake did. But from this, let's see, where's our light? There's our light. From this to this already, it looks a little more intimidating because it's shiny, which doesn't mean a whole lot. But working on this runner is coming around this way, so we want to work this wall, not this wall. Line of sight porting is horse shit. You've got to think about what the air wants, not if you can see through it, it flows better. So air's coming this way. We want to straighten it up before it hits the head. That means we need to work this wall, not this wall. We don't want to mess with that corner. We want the air to be as straight as possible before it hits a cylinder head. The roof lining? The roof line is fine. It's got the right angle. The floor. The lower section is damn near perfect. Because on the floor and the cylinder heads over there, they're damn near 90 degrees. They're good. So lower ports are good. These ports coming down at an angle. If you can see, I'm probably going to go a little harder on this one. But let's forget this light. See the two different floor angles? Get in there. It won't stay. But this one is tapered down and it never really flattens out at all. And this one is fairly flat. This is the happy one. So what we want to do is work these outer walls to get it straighter before it hits the head. And then all of the ones on the upper section that have this angle to it, we want to dip this down a bit to try to get it straighter before it hits the cylinder head. And overall make the runner bigger as it goes up. So we'll see how it goes. I don't think I'm going to record all of that. That's going to be a really long time lapse of me grinding lots of stuff. I think this is probably going to be the end of this video. This is not happening today. Had I just gasket slapped it, we could have had it done today. But now that we're going to go further, it's going to take a little longer. So I'm going to try, if I have time, depending on how work schedule goes, I'm going to try to maybe upload every day this week. So I'm going to work all night working on this manifold. And then tomorrow, provided everything works out right, I'll show you what I did to the manifold. It'll be ready. And then we'll probably play with the combustion chambers a bit. I hate to mess with something that doesn't need messed with. But intake, definitely a gain. Heads are actually a loss, except for it might have a little more detonation resistance with pump gas. So it's work. We might just slap the heads on and leave the chambers alone. So I'm going to work the rest of tonight on getting the manifold done, hopefully. If I get it all done tonight, then tomorrow I'll do an upload, show you what I did to the manifold, and we'll move on to the next step, and we'll just try to do this throughout the week. And if it's not running by the weekend, this weekend we'll have it together. So if you're following along, thank you for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Well, so if you're new, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And thank you. We'll keep on.